Wow, check this out. Welcome to This Old Bike. Hi, I'm Justin from Anoa Guy Bicycles, and we're going to check out this LeMond Classic 2006 Versailles. It is one of the coolest bikes before they got canned from Trek, and it has a combination of carbon and steel in the frame. Super cool. We're going to take a look at this bike in detail, go through it, do the super tune on it, as well as a ceramic coating to its beautiful paint job. With my 30 years experience being into industry, working on bikes, this is what I love to do. Hey, welcome back to This Old Bike. I'm Justin from Anoa Guy Bicycles. You may have seen me on other channels and doing other fun things within the cycling realm of bicycles. In any case, this particular one is LeMond from Greg LeMond, which is one of the first Americans, the first American to win the Tour de France in the late 80s. Got very popular in the 90s when Trek picked him up. This is a 2006, right before he said something about Lance Armstrong and they canned the line. But in any case, this particular one was still hand-built. It's on the cusp of 2006 to 2007. Between 2006 to 2007, they switched all their manufacturing from Trek at Waterloo, which was making LeMonds, Kleins, Gary Fishers, and also as well as Trek, overseas to, I believe Giant is the facility in Taiwan that was building them at that particular time. These particular bikes, right before that, were actually being hand-built in Waterloo, Wisconsin. This has the True Temper OX chromoly tubing, the feel of steel. If you're a classic steel rider, these are a pretty cool bike. I do have an aluminum one, which is aluminum carbon blend for LeMond from the same vintage from the year later. Yes, that one was made overseas. This one was made in the United States. In addition to, it has a beautiful clear coat that sparkles in the sun. This particular bike I bought used and it was dirty, but in immaculate shape underneath all those layers of dirt. So doing my ultrasonic cleaning to the parts, inspecting the wheels and doing a ceramic wax coating on all the hubs, spokes, rims, and also crankset, derailleurs, and brakes, I know, go a little overboard, but I want to protect the actual surfaces as well as helps clean and UV protected. So in any case, with the frame being stripped down to where it was, I was able to do a fine detail with multiple layers of using scratch and swirl from Adams, compound from Adams, polish from Adams, and then I finish up with lithium, which is a brand in Utah, ceramic coating, which I can layer and stack fairly easily and give that ultimate shine, but in addition to ultraviolet protection, so the resisting paint and decals won't fade in the sun over time or less likely to. Also, that provides that high bead concentration of protection when it gets dirty and muck and whatever gets thrown at it. Salt from the body, goo or whatever drink mix drips over everything. It helps the protective layer to shed off of the clear coat. Fills in all those micro scratches and makes it actually a super smooth, slick surface, which probably does give you a little bit of aerodynamic lift, but in any case. In addition to, all the parts on this was pretty much vintage, so there was really no swap outs or alteration of this bike from when it was new. It was actually bought in American Cycles in Detroit, Michigan. It had a little frame sticker on there, which was kind of cool because I met the guy that actually owns that chain of stores in Detroit, and yeah, actually they're pretty cool stores. In any case, back to this particular bike. It was LeMond, but actually a lot of the Trek dealers carried this particular line at the time of 2006. Looking at the OCLV 120 Awesome Compact Low Void, what that is actually the higher carbon fiber that Trek was using at the time on their Lance Armstrong 5200s, which similar to that one. And in any case, it really did a really good job. And those vintage bikes of this period actually holds up really well. It has 105 componentry on it, which is the third level down. And if you find one in pretty good condition, you can actually get it up to speed and keep it under $500 to $600 after the tune-up and parts. So this particular find will stack up and compared to new bikes today, which you're looking at $1,500 to $2,000 for even getting close to 105 componentry. Yeah, I know it doesn't have electronic shifting. It's not a one-by. or disc brakes or what have you. But if you're just in recreational riding and mainly for road, you don't need disc brakes. Cut that weight out and complication. This is actually external cables, so you actually could work on it yourself. So the classic look of the steel frame also gives you that awesome ride. In any case, it's a wonderful bike. Let's review the parts after I got them all cleaned up, and we will see the final results after this. Well, here we have it. A perfectly true Bontrager Select front wheel, ceramic coated, Armor All tired, rim base cleaned with with rubbing alcohol. And there's our products that we use. Got some others, wax, spray, ceramic, and then we're going to be putting on a pre-waxed Silka Connex chain, which is links. You do not need a tool, which is really nice if you want to re-wax your chain without the mess or hassle. We got coated parts here, which I use the mothers for to make them give a little extra shine. Lube the parts. Oh, look at that crank set. It looks like it is new. Even added some to the pedals here. Got the jockey pulleys here. They need to be reinstalled, but they've been completely clean. Shifters turn out immaculate. I mean, look at these things. They're almost new-like. A couple little scuffs, but not bad. Cassette's good. Therefore, what's left is we got the rear wheel. Pretty much new. Rim bed is really good. Did not find any cracks whatsoever around the rim on the drive side, so the wheel's good. And here is the beautiful final results of this beige Versailles LeMond. This particular paint is really a nice coat, thickness to it. This clear coat you will see in the sun at the end has a bedded glitter, so when it's in the sunlight it really shines. It's a beautiful bike with combination with the OCLV spine carbon from Trek. Then you got the True Temper OX Platinum steel, so you got the combination of high-end steel with nice carbon blend with a carbon fork. And the decals on this are pretty immaculate. A little bit of scuffage, you know, but for the age of the bike, being a 2006, and had very little, I mean, it had use, but not like use to abuse. It took care of it. Obviously, this person has a lot more other bikes to ride. This did come with the original owner. I did put some clear coat touch up on the exposed metal due to the fact I don't have the color to match, but I figured with a little bit of a clear coat on there, that'll protect it, with also the ceramic coating that I put on from lithium will prevent UV damage to the color of the paint and decals. And also what it does, just to show you what ceramic coating does, is see the high bead of water. This helps shed all the contaminants that get exposed. In other words, it doesn't embed itself into the clear coat. It is actually pulled on top surface. So when you run into rain, dirt, or mud, it just has the vibration of the bike. It'll either roll off, or when you take it home after that long dirty ride, rinse it off. All you have to do is whoosh, bam, it comes right off. So that gives a huge protective layer, and areas will be very beneficial is these little nicks and corners of the crank where you get a lot of gunk as well as the rear dropout. Also, I put an extra layer underneath, so this is where the down and dirty happens, is around this area here. You can see a couple chips due to the fact of that. If you have extra protection underneath here, also the chain stays, that'll help keep it clean. I mean, you're talking about road tar, Talking about dripping of whatever you've been putting in your water bottle, sugary drinks, hydration drinks, all that kind of stuff, sweat, all that kinds of stuff. That's where all the nasty buildup is underneath. If you have a nice layer of protection, you can see the reflection of my finger in that. That just shows you how intense that ceramic coating and the polish worked. But in any case, here's the parts. They're all coated, cleaned, lubed, needed a little bit of reassembly. And the products I use for detailing, I do the swirl for the scratches, compound for the paint, polish to get a really nice shine. Then I use a lithium ceramic coating, which seems to be a little bit easier to use, and I stack it, which means I put several coats on it. In the waxing process, you can see my waxer here. I use silica wax there, and here's all my little bits that I use for detailing. In any case, let's review after it's all assembled and ready to ride. Man, look how shiny that is. Hey, so here we have it. It turned out immaculate. Cables and housing all strung up, got a wax chain, a new chain from Connex, has a removable link without using a tool, which is very key if you want to have a wax chain and wax it yourself. Pretty easy, in addition to put some newer tires. So really what only lift that I put on this bike is a new chain, cables and housing, bar tape, which I need to go buy some real quick, and some tires, because it did have its original tires. Crazy, because those tires are pretty close to 20 years old. They don't look too bad, but I figured since I'm already here and I had a set, let's just go ahead and do it. Another key factor is it has all its reflectors. That's another indication, telltale sign that it hasn't been ridden very much. A lot of people, either those things break off or they take them off because they do a lot of riding and get teased by the other riders, which you don't do that. In any case, really the rim surfaces are great, the wheels are awesome, the hubs are smooth, the bottom bracket bearings are immaculate shape, the headset bearings too. I can go on and on and on about every little piece is basically new. Only thing that's scratched up a little bit behind here and on the frame, on the, just a couple scratches I was able to buff out of the clear coat. Other than that though, it is one solid ride. I mean, just solid. And looking underneath the bar tape where you find the scaries, pretty clean. So it never really got used as a trainer bike where a lot of people sweat and it corrodes a lot of this stuff up front. It's a pretty awesome, I would say pretty awesome little bike. In any case, it's going to be great. To look up a bike like this, here's a tricky bit. Fit is always the number one thing you want to think about on any bike you're looking at, new or used. So you want to make sure that particular brand and the size that will fit you. They all got really weird in the early 2000s when they went to compact frame, which really kind of put a monkey in the wrench of standardizing sizing. So a medium in one bike may not fit you on a different brand medium. So therefore, you're going to have to kind of do a little research. This one you can easily put 2006 LeMond catalog. Click that as a Google search. You will find archive catalog of this bike that's in there. Then you go to the bottom where they'll have the actual spec sizing. Then you can generate what size of the frame is. My trick is the head tube varies on every size. So if you can measure the head tube in millimeters, they'll get you pretty close to what size it is. If you're looking at one person and the person doesn't know what the size it is, or whatever case of the particular LeMond, then you double check your center to center here and center to center. But sometimes they don't do the up to the top part where some manufacturers do. That's where it gets all kinds of tricky. So you want to try to figure that out. Then try to figure out if like this is I think a 53. If the 53 fits within that size height range on general size charts, then you're pretty good of looking at this bike and checking it out. If you're vetting it and you're looking in like Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace or even on eBay, and you don't have the size down, they're like, I don't know what size it is. Get them to measure the head tube in millimeters or centimeters, and then you can kind of cross-reference that. A little bit of Google search will save you a lot of heartache later, because having the wrong size bike it doesn't matter how good a deal it is, it's not a good deal for you, because it's going to give you pain. You're not going to enjoy the ride. You're going to try to do all this expensive upgrades of adjustments to try to get a square peg to fit a round hole, whatever, or the other way around. Any case, but you're already going to have some fitting features you're going to have to consider. Saddle's one, stem might be another, bar width, and also if you're going to do clipless pedals, those are already going to be kind of an added cost, so you want to add to that when you look at bikes like this. But this particular bike here, it's a 2x versus the triple. If you need a wider range, you can do like a wolf tooth hanger drop down, add it to this derailleur, or get a longer cage derailleur that's a 9-speed. And then you can put a wider gear range, which they are kind of like doing today, to match that. If you want to do a triple conversion, it's a little trickier. Although these shifters on the 105, the ST6500 and the ST6600s, or 6500, sorry, the Shimano and Ultegra ones, we're designed to do a triple or a double. So you wouldn't have to switch out the shifters in the 9-speed vintage version of this. It'll already preset, but you would have to do a front derailleur, crank set, rear derailleur, and possibly a new chain for a longer, and then you might want to switch out the cassette at that point. So there's a little bit heavier lift on that to do that, but it's not totally out of the realm. You can find yourself a 105 triple crank with external bearings, which the bearings are not too expensive. The 105 front derailleur usually are not too much. You can probably find one between 30 to 40 bucks. The triples might be about 100. The rear derailleur, probably another 50 to 100, depending if you're lucky or not. All parts included. You're probably looking at about a $200 lift if you want to switch it to a triple on this particular bike. If you have to switch out the shifters, boom, that's another 100, 150 bucks on top of that, so it puts you at 350. So if you want to switch that out, that's the possibility. It all depends. And you could do that cheaper version with a wolf tooth, which is probably like 20, 30 bucks, and a cassette, which is probably another 50. So with under 100 bucks with a new chain, you might be able to work that as a double with a wider range. What you lose there, though, is with a wider range, it's not as smooth shifting. You don't find that perfect gear when you're riding, which a lot of the new bikes today kind of, in my opinion, suck for that. That's why the double, like a 1x with a wide range, what are they thinking? They're just going backwards in time and making cheaper parts and basically raising the price. It's just, looking at this bike with carbon, with the componentry 105, you're looking at, to get a comparison to new, to ride similar to this, easily $2,000 to $2,500, easily. You can get this all fine-tuned and ready to go with under $1,000 easily. Even if you paid a little bit more for the bike frame and componentry or whatever, you're going to be easily there. So, and honestly, the weight is not going to be that much difference, and the performance, you're actually going to like this a little bit better because you have that wider range. In addition to, you can work on the damn thing. With all those internal routing and cable and all that, what they've been doing with the newer frames, it is a mechanics time suck nightmare. So keep that in mind. In any case, let's get off my soapbox. Let's get some bar tape wrapped on here and let's take it for a test ride and see how this feels and looks in the sun after this. All right, here we take LeMond Versailles. I had to wait a day or two for the sun come out to make it nice enough to ride. So here we are. All right, let's check the brakes. Ooh, they feel nice and good. All right, so let's have a wax chain. So I'm gonna go light and polite on each gear until that wax breaks in. Typically a freshly waxed chain will take about 5 to 10 miles for it to totally be shedded and at its highest performance. But we're really just checking and see if it hits each gear properly in the back. Got 9. Then you check your extremes. Yes, that's right. I'm gonna have pajamas. Pajama ride. Alright, so it's hitting those on the big in the back. Then I knock it down to the small cog in the back and each gauges. Then I check the big and small up front. Make sure it's hitting those gears without any rubbing. Feeling pretty good. Still a little crisp to the air for sure, but a bike like this is Pretty awesome. Maybe a little adjustment, that's why these are down here. Quarter turn, lengthens the housing, which in turn shortens the cable. This has new cables in the housing, so sometimes housing will settle, and then you'll get a little bit of off shift. And these are, you know, position space for each click. Man, this thing is nice, immaculate shape. Huh. It feels so smooth between the steel and carbon. It's just a smooth ride. All right, let's do a little quick review. Yeah, check it out. Check out the pretty glitter and the clear coat on top of that. It's not on the beige portion, just on, so they did two different clear coats, or at least a sparkle one over the carbon weave, and then they did a final clear coat over everything. They did the detailing of the frame. You can see all the scratches kind of disappeared, in addition to that ceramic coating is amazing. Wax chain. Man, this is in a great shape. I can't say anymore. It's pretty awesome. In any case, thank you for hanging out with me. It makes you to make this channel, and appreciate all of you that watch on this old bike. And this is one awesome ride. Well, that concludes this episode of This Old Bike. Thank you for tuning in and watching through the final reveal of the perfect bike for you. Maybe, maybe not. But in any case, I hope you learned some things along the way in the journey of a bike mechanic refurbishing these particular beautiful gems of the past, which are very relevant of today. Thanks for tuning in, and you will find other videos like these. Go ahead and click here to enjoy more refurbished, detailed bikes that are from the past.